So here's a pair of front brake calipers from the old taxi. It's an AP Lockheed setup, 4-pot calipers, and there's 3 bleed nipples, one on the side and one at the top, so it's a bit more unusual than the standard sort of calipers. And there's twin inputs as well. So similar casting to some Land Rover, Range Rovers, early Discovery, I think Rover ST1, but a lot of them you see have just got all one input. Shows the 2 bits on the casting but only one. So these are fairly specific to the taxis and only 1 or 2 other models. So you can't really get hold of them. So you can get them new, although they're quite expensive. You can get them refurbished professionally. Again, that can be quite expensive, £200–300. You can buy caliper repair kits with pistons. These are the old pistons, but you get new ones of these, and seals for about, I think it's about £40 per caliper. So for about 80 quid you can do it yourself. So it's a good little video really to show you how you can do it, save some money, and for those interested to know how it goes. So this one has been stripped already. I've taken the pistons and seals out ready to rebuild it, and the bores are in pretty good condition in there. There's no reason why that can't be rebuilt with some new seals. This one has got the pistons that are stuck and they don't want to move. I've tried compressed air with my little blowgun on the compressor, about 100 psi, they won't move. So I looked online and I found a couple of videos somebody suggested using grease. So I used a grease gun and basically packed the caliper with grease, and obviously the hydraulic pressure buildup then actually pushes them out slowly. It's not ideal to put grease inside your caliper, but if you're rebuilding it with new seals anyway, then it doesn't matter. I bought these. This is my original one is outside. These 2 I bought off a breaker, and I was just going to put them on. It's a good job I didn't, because they're stuck as well. So I wanted to just push the piston out a little bit, put some red rubber brake grease on it to lubricate it and push them back, but looks like I'm going to have to rebuild them. So yes, just to show you how I push the stuck caliper pistons out using grease. So yeah, I'm going to have a go at this one. I'm going to put that in the middle just to stop the pistons flying out in case they pop out. So I've got my compressor. I think it's, yeah, just over 100. I'll get 100 psi. Well, that's as much as in the tank at the moment, so it's a good pressure on it anyway. So I'll put this down in one of the intakes. So yeah, that's one. That one popped out, which I expected because I put some grease on that one previously. Let's try the other ones. There's nothing going there. So the rest of them are stuck, which is kind of what happened to this caliper, but I ended up packing the grease into it. So I'll push this piston back in for the time being. I can't take that out yet until the others are freed up, because obviously you need to build the pressure up behind it. So I'm just going to lock this one in place and then we'll come back. So I've got my big grease gun here, and I've got a flexible end which came on a little kit. I tried this little grease gun previously and just couldn't get enough pressure, so I've used this big one. This flexible end here will screw straight into the input there or any other bleed nipples, so we're going to try that now. So yeah, you'll have to excuse the mess on the bench and the angle I've got the camera, but not really set up for this because I don't do this professionally, so I haven't got any tripods. But here, basically, the grease gun packed into here, and literally I've got all the other bleed nipples blocked up. It's literally a case of just pumping and building up the pressure. So as I'm just repositioning the camera there, I'll see. So see, as I'm pumping this, that piston is starting to move here, which is brilliant. I'll put a bit of spray on all of them just to get a bit of movement going. So jam. So there's that. So those two are out. See, can I get any of the others moving now? So just packing it. So I pack the whole caliper full of grease, and then you get to a certain point where you can't pump anymore, and it starts coming out elsewhere. And so I'm going to take this out and put it into the other fitting, and hopefully get these other two to start moving under the pressure of the grease. I've obviously got to remove a bleed nipple for the time being, just to release a little bit, help me get another wedge in there, and we'll carry on. Okay, I'll put the grease gun I'm using into this bottom input now, and again it's just the same as before. Keep trying to pump it and see whether, there we go, look, I saw a bit of movement on this piston. Oh, this one here, this is moving, look. This is moving now. So just by packing it with grease. That's brilliant. So that's 3 pistons that are now moving. And let's keep going, see if we can get this final one to move. Let's check there's enough grease in the gun. Yes, there we go, look, you can see this one now finally starting to move again. So by pumping it up, pushing all that grease into the caliper, the hydraulic pressure of that grease, or whatever you call it, basically it's got nowhere else to go apart from come out. So it's freed up those pistons nicely, which is brilliant. So now I can release the pressure of the grease gun, pull these bits out which I've used for a wedge. I can ease these out properly then and clean it all up. Obviously it's not ideal having a caliper full of grease from an operational point of view, but the fact I'm going to put new pistons and seals in, it doesn't matter. The previous one I did of this to get the grease out from inside and through the lines and the bleed nipples, put it in a bucket of degreaser, 20 minutes, half hour. You'll blow through the airline, some brake cleaner, and keep cleaning it till they all come out clean and all the grease is out, and then it's ready for a rebuild. So now you can see all 4 pistons have come out. So they packed under the pressure of the grease and pushed them all out. So I'm just going to finally remove them, either with, see if they'll come out with the airline, or use some more grips just to pop them out, and then I'll clean it all up. Obviously you can see the pistons there quite badly pitted. If there was only a little bit right on the edge, then in the past I've used some fine wet and dry paper and you've managed to file it back and send it back, but those are pretty poor, so good job. I'm going to rebuild it anyway. I've ordered a set of new pistons and seals, and obviously I'll do a little write-up on that if that's of use to anyone. So I'm just going to clean all the grease out from this and go from there. So I just put my air gun through the two inputs there and blown out two of these. I'm just going to put one of these through the bleed nipple here and see what happens there. Obviously don't put anything in here, don't put your fingers in there, because the pressure of this could literally take your finger off or at least damage it. So you should wear goggles. I would normally put a bar across the middle like I had when they were coming out, because I wanted them to come out evenly, but in this case I just want to pop them out. So I'm just going to blow this through here and see if that comes out here. There you go. That's another one out. I'll clean all that up and then one to go. So with the help of this big grease gun, got a nice handle to pump on it, tube of grease, I was able to remove the stuck pistons from this caliper. I've got them all out now using the pressure of the grease where they were seized. The air pressure wasn't enough on its own, so the grease was able to pop them out. Obviously this will go in a bucket of degreaser now, and I'll blow it through with the air gun just to clear the lines from all the grease. And then I've got a couple of cans of brake clean. I'll squirt brake clean down each of the inputs. Those two there, bleed nipple there, bleed nipple on both sides, and clean out the little cylinder pots in there. And I'll do that several times back and forth until there's no grease left, and then it'll be ready to rebuild with new seals and pistons. And just to show you what came out, these are the ones that were in there that were seized. As you can see, they're quite nasty. Quite a few marks on there, so there's no way you'd polish them out or you'd really want to use them long term. So you're going this far anyway. And the kit was about £35–40, which includes the little pistons and these seals. These are just some of the seals that came out. You can see they're quite corroded. That one there is obviously broken. I think one of them was on the other caliper. One of these was actually stuck around the piston. Just really bad corrosion. So yeah, it makes sense to do them anyway. That's the little wiper seal that sits in the cylinder. And then these go up and down, and that one sits on the end to seal it up. So yep, new set of those. When they come, we'll stick them in. So here's a caliper now all cleaned up. So I've degreased it. I've gone through several times with brake cleaner. Brake clean. Get yourself some aerosol brake cleaners. So you've got good power on them. Spray them through all these holes. The two inputs there. That bleed nipple there. The bleed nipples on the other side. And then clean out the little piston pots, and do that several times back and forth until there's no more grease coming out, and then you know it's clean and it's time to do the rebuild then. So I've basically got one of these little picks, and I'm going to go and take off the old seals in here. There's an outer one here which is like a there's an outer seal here which is like a metallic ring with a little rubber under it, and there's one just further in there but you can't see with the light. Let's see, don't know why it's not focusing very well, but there's a second one under there, which is like a, there's a you've obviously got like a wiper seal for the brake fluid. So there's two in there, so I'm going to pull them out. Use a little pick. Basically just come in here in the rubber. There's a rubber one in here. It's hard to do it while holding the phone, but you can see the principle behind it. So here we go, I got my pick underneath, and you just pull that out, and that's the old seal, which you'll replace. That comes in the kit. So there's 4 of those, obviously, one for each piston there, just under this ridge. And then here there's another little seal, but it's got like a rubber, so it's got like a metal clip to it which holds it in. So this was a bit more involved. You might need to just knock this one out with a little screwdriver. And this ridge is part of the casting, and the rubber comes out of this ring here. You can see the other one on this side. So same again, pop these out, and once you've done that, clean them up, ready for the rebuild kit. So here's the pair of calipers now cleaned up, ready to go for the rebuild. Stripped out the old seals, cleaned up the bores. So how well you can see in there, not very well. But on the bore here, there's a little bit of glazing, a bit of stuff I couldn't get off. I went back and forth with the compressed air, brake cleaner, a little bit of 1200 fine grit, wet and dry, very, very gently with your finger. Just very lightly, just to deglaze it, and then that's prepared now nicely for the new seals. Put all the bleed nipples back in, clean them up, make sure, it's always been important, but especially nowadays, make sure your nipples are clean, yeah, right? These were clogged up, some of these, with muck, so it wouldn't have worked if you're bleeding your brakes. It could have affected the pressure in the line potentially, especially bleeding them. So use a little pick tool down the end and down the other end, and then blow it out with compressed air, or I blew brake cleaner down the end of it so I can see it coming out both sides, so you know that's right. And then a little bit of red rubber grease on the threads. I've got some red rubber grease in this jar. That's the only type of grease you should ever put inside a braking system, specifically designed not to swell up rubber seals. Any other type of grease would swell up the seals and could cause a leak. I was trying to show you earlier the lip here. There's 2 lips. Obviously the bottom one is the rubber O-ring. The top one is rubber with a metal sleeve on it. And this is one of the old ones. There's like a metal ring there, and underneath is a rubber that goes together. You can see the rubbers come out from the metal ring, and it's split, and it should obviously be pliable to act as a seal, but it's so brittle it just breaks. It's just, yeah, just so old. It's gone hard, very brittle, so that's not creating much of a seal. So yeah, good job. I'm changing it, and when the new kit arrives, I'll show you how to put them back together.